Are you telling me
perpetrators.
there's no issue?
I'm telling you that you are focusing on Pakistani grooming gangs because probably you're racist and you don't believe that there are white perpetrators of the same crime.
No, I'm not a racist, and she's not going to be able to do to the Duke of York, do to me what she did to him.
Now, Rupert, a lot of people have said a lot of things over the past few weeks. You have obviously been pretty much silenced because of the fact that this police investigation has been ongoing. So I just want to give you a chance to respond. Nigel Farage had this to say on GB News.
Just a few weeks ago, Nigel, with all of the furore around Rupert Lowe, people were saying, this is it, this is going to be, this isn't just a dent in the Reform Party, this is going to destroy the Reform Party. And over the weekend, people were saying, Rupert who? Yeah. It doesn't appear to have made any sort of impact, despite the best efforts of Andrew Pearce with his journalistic expertise.
Even though I work here, I'm going to be critical of GB News. GB News covered this story obsessively, as if it was some huge story.
It's all his fault.
And it was never a huge story. It was one person who had increasingly been heading in a different direction from us.
Your chairman made it a big story by calling in the police.
Well, he did do that.
Do you think that was a good idea? Nigel Farage, I'm going to challenge you.
I'll pass on that.
There we are.
I'll pass on that.
It was a bizarre decision, Pazir Yusuf, to call in the police.
But, you know, it was only ever going to be one person. And the upshot of this, what it really tells you is that X is not the real world.
Yeah. Correct.
You know,
Twitter, as it was,
Twitter, as it was, is not the real world. So, yeah, you know, when you get problems in life, the best thing is to confront them.
Would you have him back now in the party, Rupert Lowe, after all of this? Ben Habib, is there a way back for Ben?
Over my dead body.
Well, he wrote a piece saying you didn't deserve your victory. Did you see it?
I mean, I'm sorry, you get these small, very insignificant people who
say what you think, Nigel.
Who think they're more important than they are. They're frankly nothings. There you are.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, I don't mind people sounding off. I don't mind people disagreeing with me. I never have done. As long as there's some fundamental underlying loyalty. And that's the one thing I demand.
Yeah.
So small and significant nothing. And then later on in that interview, Rupert, he also linked you to Tommy Robinson and the so-called alt-right.
This is his... Dan, I've been asked about this a number of times today. This is their new tactic to try and suggest, and I think they were doing it at some fundraising lunch they had last week, so I was told. But look, I mean, that interview that Nigel gave, I thought smacked of arrogance. It smacked of sort of the cultist that he is, and it smacked of him believing that he is in a different sort of universe to the rest of the people. And I think that goes arguably to the disagreement I had with him, because I think to run a successful political party or business or anything else, you have to devolve power, not aggregate power. And Nigel is aggregating power. The people who work for him are largely sycophants, and as I've said in the past, their idea of policy making is a pint in the pub in the Marquis of Granby, followed by a press conference the following day. So, I mean, that's not my view of how we're going to change Britain. And as I said to Nigel, winning the election is only half the equation. We need to deliver for the British people. We can't just raise their hopes with a series of speeches around the country. And look, one of his strengths is he does speak extremely well, and he speaks very convincingly. But I think it's all very well to say something. I have an expression, you know, watch what the hands are doing, not what the mouth is saying. And my problem, Dan, was that there wasn't enough happening with the hands. There was a lot happening with the mouth. Power was aggregating around Nigel. It was the cult of Nigel. There was no shadow cabinet, no policy, no plan, no structure, and I think we would have failed, or we will fail. He will fail to deliver if ever he comes prime minister, which I hope now and believe he shouldn't. And I think if he weaponizes the British state, if he did become prime minister and uses it against people in the way that he's used some vile sort of attempt at political assassination against me, it will be a very, very dangerous place to be. So I have nothing personal against him. I don't think they've behaved well. In answer to him being asked whether I would come whether he'd want me back in reform. That's not an issue, because I can't work with bad people. And I've now, you can't build anything with bad people.
So
and I now
wouldn't go back. Actually, before I ask about that, let me show you what
the answer is, Dan. I will, with Nigel as leader, I will not go back to reform.
But if Nigel was not leader, you might.
I think Nigel is I think he's not an inclusive human. I think he's arrogant, and I think he is clearly prepared to use whatever tactics he can to remove people who are doing their best to help him. And I think he's done that to Stephen Wolfe. He's done that to Kilroy Silk. He's done that to Ben Habib. There's a whole trail of people who've been loyal to him, who he's effectively decided he doesn't want near him, and he's taken them out. So politically, that is. So I look, no. So I had the same view when I was in football. You can't build a successful football team with bad people. You can't build a successful company with bad people. What you need is to devolve power, and you need to bring in able people, and you need to give people control of their destiny. And that, if that in politics means you have to appoint a shadow cabinet and devolve power, that's how I think you do it. So I thought in your introduction, you're right. I mean, it's only going to be strong people with a vision who are prepared to repeal most of the malign legislation that's been passed by Blair, Cameron, and a bunch of sort of what I call people who were more interested in selecting their MPs on the basis of quotas than on merit. And I'm a great believer in merit. I don't really have any issue. It has to be on merit. Everything has to be on merit and merit alone. So you're going to need some strong, principled people to deliver.
Well,
I
was going to ask about this, Rupert, because you were pictured meeting with Liz Truss, and I've spoken to people close to her who confirmed that meeting was a positive one. Would you consider working with her, for example, on a new vehicle, because she's totally on board with you about the need for a Great Repeal Act?
Well, I think a number of people are, Dan, and I think what we've got to do is try and unite those people who've got a clear vision of what needs to happen, and who are altruistic enough to try and deliver that, not just for their own personal benefit, but for the good of the people of the country, who ultimately are great people. They're very tolerant people. But I think what they've shown, and what the form vote in answer to Sarah Potchin, who, by the way, in her maiden speech said she was glad that her colleagues had been able to drag themselves out of the pub, was her first line of her maiden speech, which I thought was quite entertaining. I've always worked on the basis that many a true word spoken in jest, and that was an interesting one for me. But so I think their success in the local elections, which she talked about, was as a result of people's desire for change. But really, if you looked at that ballot paper, the only option you really had was to vote for light blue rather than red or blue. And that's what people did. So I think it shows people want change. I've now got to turn my mind, I think, to finding an option which is going to give people a different choice.
But you'd be open to chatting with Liz Truss?
They will have to decide whether they want principle or whether they want some sort of cant, which has nothing behind it. So look, I don't know what the solution is. There are numerous options. In answer to your question, would I work with people like Liz Truss? Yes, I have no problem with people like Liz Truss. She tried to do the right thing, and arguably she found herself at the wrong end of the British establishment. The gilt yield had nothing to do with her. It had to do with all sorts of endowment book protections that have been written. Most of the problems go to some sort of financial protection, which triggers a chain reaction, which is what happened. So the pension funds had to then cover those, basically the volatility options they'd been writing, which they had to cover because they were going to lose money on. So I think we've got to turn our minds to, and I will now. I as you quite rightly say, for a few days it affected me. Then I knew I hadn't done anything wrong, so I just cracked on, and I'm going to now work out how. I'm certainly not going to leave the battlefield. I can reassure people of that. I'm going to find a solution which I think gives me the best chance
let me ask about one
of helping
specific.
to change the way we're governed.
Yes, let me ask a specific one. If you can either rule it out or say that you're considering it. I'm told that the Conservative Party are very interested. I've used you now a number of times on your X account, but joining the Conservatives would disappoint a lot of your base for obvious reasons, given their failure over the past 14 years. Would you consider joining the Tories, or is that something that you're prepared to rule out? But first, we've been told our whole lives that wrinkle creams were the easiest way to look younger. Now one doctor says that's nothing but old news. According to Dr. John Lake, the world-renowned Beverly Hills beauty expert, most wrinkle fixes on the market are nothing but glorified moisturizers. They hardly make a dent on your appearance, and some can even be harmful to your skin. Recently, Dr. Lake has focused his attention away from mainstream cosmetic practices. Why? Well, so that he can pursue a revolutionary anti-aging breakthrough, one that some experts say could empty the wallets of the cosmetic industry. It's almost like Photoshop for your face. He said you may even be mad after seeing how easy it is to visibly erase your wrinkles from view. His personal clients have dubbed his new do-it-yourself technique the age rewinder method because it can take years or even decades off your appearance in under 2 minutes. And in light of this amazing breakthrough, Dr. Lake has released a step-by-step video to the public. It is free and uninterrupted, where he outlines exactly how to use this simple solution from home. He says if it helps even one person look younger or feel more confident, he will be thrilled knowing he helped. The video has since gone viral. At first it was shared by users on Facebook, but since then it's racked up over 2.3 million views and counting. So far, the comments and feedback have been outstanding, with thousands of women reporting they look decades younger. One viewer even commented, "Best results of anything I've used. I can't believe how well this works. I'll never stop using this. I don't understand how it works, but the results are great. Thank you." So you can find out more about this yourself right now. Go to bhmd1.com/outspoken or just click on the link in the description box below. That's bhmd1.com/outspoken. Now, there is one thing Dr. Lake asks from his viewers. If watching this video helps you look and feel younger than you have in years, then please share this video with your friends and loved ones. Together, we have the power to help as many women reclaim a youthful look as possible. Go watch the video bhmd1.com/outspoken right now, or just click on the link in the description box below. But now, back to the show.
I don't think the Tories are in a position at the moment to offer me what I need. So in answer to your question now, I think probably not. But a reformed Tory party, Dan, is probably the most powerful route to change the way in which we're governed. Obviously, so I don't think they're in that situation now. I think they've got too many MPs who are arguably Lib Dems rather than Tories. And if you look at their track record, they've had a number of plays with the toy set over the last 14 years, not least Boris with an 80-seat majority, and they have singularly failed to deliver anything other than more legal immigration and locking us all down for a prolonged period of time, which damaged the economy and damaged a lot of our young people. So I don't think they've got a particularly good track record, and I think they need to do a lot of changes, or make a lot of changes to their structure at head office, probably to the blend of their MPs, and start selecting people on merit and merit alone. They've got some very good young MPs. I like some of the young MPs very much. So like all parties, there are good people, and you can't make a generalization about everybody, but I don't think they're ready to offer.
Well, then let me
salvation.
show another proposal. Then this is what your colleague, what your friend Ben Habib is proposing.
Invariably, instead of thanking them for their services and commending them for what they've done, the leadership of Reform has sought to ruin their reputations. But with Rupert Lowe, what they did was go one step further. They used the very kind of lawfare against which they should be standing to try not just to ruin Rupert Lowe, but to have him incarcerated. That, at every single level, should be abhorrent to anyone of any political persuasion. But it should be particularly concerning for those of us who had put our hopes in Reform, because if this party and its leadership does not have a moral compass and does not have a political philosophy that's built on integrity, it cannot be trusted in any shape or form to deliver this country from the very dangerous position in which this country now finds itself, in part put there by the kind of lawfare that they tried to use against Rupert Lowe. This country needs an honest, decent, pro-British political force which is actually going to act with integrity, without fear, without favour, and deliver for this country. That cannot be Reform UK under the leadership of Zia Yusuf and Nigel Farage. A new political force is needed. Watch
and
this
he's
space.
Set up that force, Rupert Lowe. It's called the Integrity Party, or he's taken it on. And from what I'm told, he wants you as leader. Is that something that you're considering?
Dan, that's an option. I think Ben is a very good man. I think he, as you said, and he is highly principled. He's very intelligent. I think he did a lot of very good things in challenging the Windsor Agreement and the Northern Ireland Protocol. He's got the intellect to, I think, play a very, very valuable part. So look, I don't rule out doing something with Ben. I think he's played his part in keeping reform going when Nigel left the battlefield. He and Richard Tice, he was, I think he was chairman for a while, and Richard was leading it. So I think, and he was traveling all over the country. He put in a lot of hours and a lot of time and a lot of work in putting in the foundations of reform, as did I. So I think for Nigel to just write us off in the way that he did in that interview is pretty vile. But that's an option. There are several options, but I've now got to work out what I think is the best route to delivering.
Has Elon Musk been in touch at all?
Look, I think Elon Musk, and you said he never said I should be leader. What he said is he didn't think Nigel should be leader. And when
he made it pretty
whether
clear, though, that he was
whether he thought I should be leader, he actually said that he didn't know me, but he thought he liked my tweets. So my messages on X. So that's slightly different. So, but I don't think that played well with Nigel, probably, not least because he thought he had a sort of monopoly on relations with the USA. And Musk, as you know, is very close to Donald Trump. So I think that was not helpful as far as my position in reform went. But look, I'm intent on continuing to find a way of changing the way we're governed by 2029, which I think is absolutely essential.
Just Richard Tice, who you mentioned before, is being put under a little bit of pressure in terms of have the constituents in Great Yarmouth been let down now because they wanted a Reform UK MP. They don't have one. I'm interested to see what you respond to this.
Here is someone who was democratically elected as the Reform MP to represent. This is voters in Great Yarmouth wanting reform in their constituency, and now they have an independent MP, not part of reform. They're not getting what they voted for, and all the while he's accusing you of weaponising the criminal justice system. Surely it's more democratic to get him back inside reform and give those voters what they wanted.
Look, sometimes things happen in politics and it's not perfect. And as I said, it's a shame, it's sad, but
it feels like we're not hearing everything here, though, Richard. It feels odd for you to have been this MP completely.
Do me the kindness of letting me ask a question, having you asked it. Look, at the end of the day, if you want to win elections, it's the same a bit like if you want to win football matches. You can't do that by being a bunch of individuals. You have to operate as a team under one boss. And our plan is to win elections as a team under one boss.
He later said that Reform UK will still run in Great Yarmouth at the next election.
I wasn't aware he'd ever run a football club, Dan, but anyway, he was using a football analogy. No, the people of Great Yarmouth are fantastic people. I was there for 3 days this week, so I'm comfortable. If anyone wants to go and talk to them and find out what they think of me or what I'm doing for them, I think that's the best way for people to judge that. I wouldn't be arrogant enough or big-headed enough to sort of comment on that. But look, I feel as an independent, I'm now free to operate and I think people in Great Yarmouth like what I've been doing in Parliament. I try and keep them posted on that. I say to them, I can't really help Great Yarmouth without changing the way that we're governed in Westminster, because it's actually the post-war elite who've let Great Yarmouth and a lot of the holiday destinations, the coastal regions, they've all been let down by a post-war elite which has been more interested in surrendering our sovereignty to the European Union. So, look, there's a lot of things that need change. With regard to Richard, he I think takes his political sustenance very largely from Isabel Oakeshott, who, as you know, now lives in Dubai and is his girlfriend. So I don't have anything personal against Richard. But what I would say is this is an own goal, using the football analogy of my own. This is an own goal which was scored by them collectively, and they will have to take whatever consequences arise from it. But look, Dan, I've got to run now.
Just one last thing which has come up today, that this will be the last thing. I think it's really important that you've given an opportunity to respond, because it's blowing up on X. I'm not sure if you realised that Emily Maitlis actually accused you of being racist. I want to give you a response to respond to that, because it's pretty shocking. This is what happened.
Pakistani Muslims raping working class white underage girls. Do you not think there's an issue there?
I think there is an appalling issue with grooming when it hits any community and any age. We only ever hear you talk about Pakistani perpetrators.
Are you telling me there's no issue?
I'm telling you that you are focusing on Pakistani grooming gangs because probably you're racist and you don't believe that there are white perpetrators of the same crime. Can you deny that?
I am concentrating on it because it's a blot on our national history.
Isn't any grooming a blot on our history?
It has not been properly dealt with.
Isn't any grooming a blot on our history? Why don't you talk about anyone else?
Did you hear her accuse you of being racist, and do you want to respond now? Because to me, it's an absolutely egregious allegation.
I hope they published the whole interview, because Emily Maitlis, as you know, I think I told her she was a fully paid up member of the British liberal elite, and as you know, she's very good at getting her side of the story across. I'm not a racist. I think everybody knows that, and at the end of the day, Emily is welcome to her own opinions, but she was trying to, as she does, create an interview which everybody wanted to watch. Well, I think I gave her as good as I got, and at the end I shook her hand and we parted. No, I'm not a racist, and she's not going to be able to do to the Duke of York what she did to me, or do to him what do to me what she did to him.
Excellent. Look, I just wanted to clear that up. Rupert Lowe, so brilliant. Thank you for your time today, and we will keep in touch, of course, as this new era develops.
And we appreciate. I love that introduction, and thanks very much.
Thank you, Rupert. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source, and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.